everyone and welcome to the Parker's Car of the Year for 2023, otherwise known as the Honda Civic.
That's right, we've given our top award to this hybrid family hatchback because it does everything you could possibly expect for an everyday car that costs from around £29,000. Rivals such as the Seat Leon, Ford Focus and Peugeot 308 are all strong alternatives, but for us the Civic has the edge in several key areas.
If you want to know what those areas are, which you do, then keep watching this review of our favourite car from 2022.
Before I get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on so you get a reminder every time we publish a new video. At the time of filming, the Civic is available with just one engine, a 2-litre petrol hybrid that powers the front wheels via an ECVT automatic transmission. As for trim levels, there's 3 on offer: Elegance, Sport and Advance, with the Sport spec being the car we have here.
Climb into the Civic's cabin and what can I say? This is such a big improvement on the old model. Sure, it was well built, but the design flair and usability wasn't much to write home about. In this, it's a different story. First things that draw your attention are the big honeycomb grille that houses the air vents, this slick 9-inch infotainment screen, and rejoice! Nice big chunky physical dials for the climate control. And on that last note, I know I go on about it a lot, but there's way too many cars now that house crucial temperature controls in the touchscreen, which makes it 10 times harder to adjust the aircon when you're on the move. The infotainment system isn't particularly flashy or clever, and it does fall behind offerings from Kia and Ford for ease of use, but is a massive step on from the old Civic. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto come as standard, although only the former is wireless. Now, if I was being a real fusspot, I would like to see this infotainment screen angled slightly more towards the driver, because at the moment it feels a little bit awkward. Meanwhile, the digital dashboard display on advanced spec cars is a 10.2-inch display. However, Elegance and Sport trim models like this make do with a 7-inch cluster. Whichever one you get, both setups are easy to read and configure. As for build quality, Hondas usually excel in this area, and despite a fancier cabin, it's the same story here. Everything feels well put together, and for the most part, the materials are of a good quality. And if you want to find out how this cabin holds up under everyday use, then make sure you head over to the long-term test section of the Honda Civic on the Parker's website.
Standard equipment on the Civic is plentiful, with all models getting features such as adaptive cruise control, a rear-view camera, heated front seats and keyless entry. Meanwhile, top spec advanced models that aren't that much more than the base Elegance spec get goodies such as adaptive LED headlights, a panoramic glass sunroof and an upgraded Bose audio system.
Final points before I hop into the back to check out the practicality. The driving position in the Civic is known for being lower than on many of its rivals, and while it won't be for everyone, I quite like it. Plus, if you do want to sit higher, there's plenty of adjustment available in the seat and the wheel, while top spec models also get electric seats.
Storage space up front is generous, as you get large door pockets, a capacious glove box and centre armrest cubby, and a wireless charging pad ahead of the gear lever on sport models upwards.
So the Civic is a family car, which of course means rear seat space is important. There's 3 seats back here and 2 ISOFIX points for the little ones. Now if you're a grown-up in the back, you may find that headroom is a little tight thanks to the sloping roofline. But legroom is very impressive and you can stretch out nicely.
The Civic's boot measures up at 410 litres of capacity with the rear seats in place, and 1,220 litres with them folded down in the customary 60-40 split. That's more than in the VW Golf and Toyota Corolla, but a little less than the Skoda Octavia. Useful features in the boot include a 12-volt power supply, hooks to hang bags on, and a load cover that is far easier to remove and store than a regular rigid tonneau cover. Clever thinking.
Before we take this hatchback on the road, we're going to do a usability test in the form of Hope's Car Olympics, just to see how easy it really is to use this Japanese family car. So against the clock, I've got to fold down the rear seats so they're flat, tune in the radio to Absolute FM, and set the sat-nav to take me to Buckingham Palace. Let's go! So we're going to open the boot. It's the easiest way to fold down the seats. It's a little bit trickier if you are short like me, because you've got a longer reach. There we go, they're flat, that was quite easy to do. Jump in the driver's seat. Okie dokie, now we're going to go to the infotainment system, home, navigation, give it a moment to load, press on the universal search icon, Buckingham Palace, Buckingham Palace, search for that. It's searching, it's whirling round, it's there, 58 miles, tourist attraction, go. Routing. This route has congestion charge though, that's okay. Right, home, now we're going to go to radio. Now DAB is down here, so click on ensemble list up here and it will give you the full list. Scroll up, all ensemble, and then we'll find Absolute FM. Here's the proof. Oh, way! Good song, by the way. So there we go. I feel like that was a little bit frantic, but I got there. The ensemble list, I can see what they're doing. They're trying to group the radio stations because we know how it is nowadays. You have all sorts of different categories, but it actually can make it more confusing than helpful. The folding down of the rear seats was easy, but again, as I mentioned, if you're a shorter person, it can be a little bit of a challenge. And the navigation was super easy, gave some really key information, and I was pleased with that. This is good. It's not superb, but it's good, is what I would say. Let's now go see what this is like on the road. If you're as indecisive as me, then this Honda Civic is the perfect car for you, because rather than having a multitude of available engines on offer, there's just the one 2-litre petrol hybrid. This may seem an odd decision to some, but Honda points out that compared to the engines in the previous Honda Civic, this 2-litre hybrid is more efficient than the old 1-litre, faster than the 1.5 litre, and it has more torque than the diesel, which is pretty impressive.
What's also impressive is the hybrid element. It doesn't need plugging in, so you can forget about cables. But what it does do is improve fuel economy. At lower speeds, you've got the electric motors driving the front wheels with the engine acting as a generator. Then, at higher speeds, when the electric motors are less efficient, the engine provides direct drive to the front wheels. For example, we're averaging almost 50 miles per gallon over the last few thousand miles.
To enable this, the Civic hasn't got a conventional gearbox. Instead, it's got an ECVT transmission. It's still got a gear selector, and you drive it just as you would a regular automatic, but the concept underneath is different. As for performance, the Honda Civic is plenty fast enough. 184 horsepower and 315 newton meters of torque means 0 to 62 miles per hour in 7.9 seconds. More than enough for a regular family hatch. Overall, this is a brilliantly engineered mild hybrid powertrain that feels so satisfying to use.
It's not just about how quick the Civic is in a straight line either. Its performance in the corners is seriously impressive, thanks to well-weighted steering and excellent body control.
Honestly, this is one of the most enjoyable cars I've driven in ages. It feels like it's been set up and designed by people that enjoy driving, something that you really can't say for all of its rivals. Meanwhile, comfort levels are good, if not quite flawless. The ride feels just on the right side of firm and seldom feels uncomfortable, while road and wind noise is acceptable for a car in this price range. Overall, it feels like Honda has got the balance just right with how this Civic handles everyday driving. As for complaints, I don't have many, but as I mentioned previously, there is some road noise from the tyres, and the automatic brake hold has to be reactivated every time you start the car, which is really weird considering other settings like your heated seats are remembered from the last time you were in the vehicle. If you want to buy a Honda Civic, then here's my recommendations based on different categories that you may slot into. So if you want the cheapest one, go for the Elegance spec. That's one of those that comes with the 7-inch digital dashboard display. Company car users, again, go for that Elegance spec. And if you want the performance model, the beast of the Honda Civics if you like, go for the Honda Civic Type R with over 300 horsepower.
It's been over 50 years since the first Honda Civic was launched. And having seen multiple generations come and go, this latest version is without doubt the strongest. Sure, new rivals have come onto the scene and made the family hatchback class one of the most competitive out there. But for us, the Civic now has the edge.
Yes, it's fun to drive, and that's always a bonus when doing these car reviews, especially for me. But it's about way more than that. The interior is well designed and laid out. It's practical. There's lots of equipment. It's a hard car to fault, and that's why it's the 2023 Parker's Car of the Year.